Hey everybody, on this week I'm going to do probably 2 videos for you. I've got a project build that it's in the middle of right now. It's actually clamped up on the bench right now. And then I'm going to do a shop tour, which is what this video is going to be. Mainly because my first ever video that I did for YouTube was a shop tour. It was on a GoPro camera, done by hand, so it was shaky, bad lighting because I've added lights since then. So it was just a really bad video. I just looked at it the other day on YouTube and realized how bad it was, and I needed to update it. So I'm going to go ahead and update it with this one. I guess we'll get started here. Right at the entrance to my shop is in the basement. It's a second basement, so it's actually separate from the main basement of the house. But anyway, so the door, right behind the door, I've got a nice dry erase board, which is perfect for writing down project lists, assembly lists, whatever I need to. It's right there, nice, big, and bold, and it's right across from my bench so I can see it at all times. Right behind the door, I've got my clamp rack. So it's got all my parallel clamps, F-clamps, quick grips, band clamp, all that kind of junk. All hanging on that, and it's right behind the door, so it's the excellent use of this space behind the door that I can't put tools, I can't put cabinets, I can't really put anything else back here, and the clamps fit perfectly. Obviously I've got a TV in the shop, which is great for when I'm not actually shooting for YouTube, because otherwise it's just too much noise. So I do watch my Cardinals games and stuff like that on there. And then right here is my rigid 3650 table saw. Great table saw. If anybody's in the market for a used table saw, you can get these pretty cheap. But we'll talk about it at another time. So that's that. And then over here, I've got my kind of a storage for my tools. I've got just some shelves basically. They're not deep because I don't like deep shelves. I like stuff that I can get to. So this stuff kind of holds all of my table saw accessories. I've got my bead lock. There's some painting stuff down there. Charger or a battery charger. My pocket jig stuff is up here. So that's just kind of miscellaneous stuff. And then in the center here is a very basic, easy. I actually shot a video on it, but it's just tool storage. Everything is held by magnetic strips or screws. And then I've got my tape storage as well. Then down below is my Grizzly jointer, 6-inch jointer. Relatively cheap, great little workhorse. Does the job for what I do. It's a great piece of equipment. And then another shelf that's got some magazines, books, miscellaneous storage, and stuff like that. So we'll move on to the next corner here in just a second. All right, and on to the next corner. I've got my Penn State Industrial dust collector, which I actually picked up at a tool auction for like 70 bucks for the entire thing. Actually came with some hose and stuff like that, some attachments, but works great. I think it's like a 1.5 horsepower, so it's not the most powerful thing in the world, but for my shop it does the jobs because I've got a pretty small shop as it is, so I'm not running pipes all over the place. Next is my Grizzly. It's my Polar Edition, the GO555P 14-inch bandsaw. Another great piece of equipment and actually relatively cheap through Grizzly. So this has been another workhorse that I have thoroughly enjoyed. Love this machine. I've had no problems with it, and it's just an overall smooth running machine. Next is my rigid 13-inch planer, which is on wheels. Almost every single tool in my shop is on wheels except for 2, which is the lathe and the bandsaw, or the drill press. But everything else is on mobile wheels, so I can move it around. I can bring the planer out in the middle of the shop and use it. The same thing with the bandsaw, even the jointer. So I like being able to move stuff around. I've moved my shop around quite a bit since I've started just a few years ago. So everything's on mobile wheels. So I can just pull this sucker out and use it. So great piece of equipment. I really like that one as well. This is my Harbor Freight central machine, or my Harbor Freight drill press. Another great piece of equipment that's actually relatively cheap. It does a perfect job. Thoroughly enjoyed this purchase, and a pretty good piece of equipment. So we'll move on to the next little corner. All right, and moving on. Right next to the drill press is my chop saw station. Once again, mobile base, plywood construction for the actual cabinet. I plan on having drawers over in here and underneath. Just one of those things I haven't gotten to yet. But for what it is, it works perfectly. So the actual chop saw is sunken down, so I've got a nice level spot over here. And it's on a long wall, so I can cut long pieces if I need to. The chop saw itself, I would like to replace in the future. It's a Hitachi. It's not a sliding miter or anything like that. You know, it works for now, but probably something I'll replace far in the future, since it's not something that I use all the time, but it is something that I do use. And next is my rigid oscillating spindle sander or belt sander. It's actually got two things, so you can have an oscillating belt or the actual spindles. It comes with 5 different size spindles, and it is a great piece of equipment. Thoroughly enjoy this one as well. And it seems to have enough power for what I do. So it's a great piece of equipment. Something that I use all the time. And then all the way over in the far corner, there is wood storage behind here. But I do have my router table over here. Shop built router table. Nothing fancy, nothing extravagant, but it does the job. And it was a lot cheaper than going into Woodcraft or something like that, or Rockler, and buying an actual table and assembly. So I think I got the countertop from Habitat for Humanity's resale, or restore is what I think it's called, for extremely cheap, and built it all. Got a router plate, and I've got my Bosch router in there. I think it's a 2¼ horsepower. So that works out pretty neat. Once again, I've got the cabinet designed to have drawers in it, just have not built the drawers yet. And like I said, behind it I've got some wood storage for plywood and stuff like that. So we'll move on to the next corner. All right, this is the back wall of the shop, and another corner. I've got my Harbor Freight lathe. I do have a product review for that. If you'd like to check, if you want to check that out, just scroll down to my videos and you should see it. So that's the Harbor Freight 12-inch lathe. I've got a little shelf for all my lathe tools and whatnot, miscellaneous gadgets, stuff like that for the lathe. So that's kind of my lathe section. Over in the corner, I've got a tool drawer, cabinet thingy, whatever you want to call it, that has some miscellaneous tool stuff that I don't use all the time. So it doesn't get a whole lot of use, but it is the top for my charging station for my drills, and it holds my screws and stuff like that. And then all the way over in the far corner is my paints, finishes, glues, all that kind of stuff in the 2 cabinets. There's actually one down below that's got all my house paints and stuff like that, stuff that I hardly ever use, so I can block it no problem. My Rikon 8-inch bench grinder, another great piece of equipment. I've got a product review on that as well if you want to check that out. And then I've got some cabinets that have miscellaneous storage for rags and drill bits, all my manuals for all my tools and stuff like that are in these filing cabinets and stuff like that. And then finally, I've got my computer, which all the magic happens for all the videos that you see. All the editing is done here. I've got internet access, so I've got Pandora and all that kind of stuff. So when I'm not actually shooting, I can listen to music I've got a nice big stereo system with a subwoofer and everything, so I can rock pretty hard down here. It shakes the floor upstairs. My wife doesn't like that too much, but that's all right. And then above that, I have a little tool storage thing that works out great. I'll get a close-up shot on that. All right, and for the center of the shop is basically, like I was saying about the tool rack. This has got all of my commonly used stuff, hammers, flush trim saws, chisels, my glue bottle that's I've got a little holder for, so it's upside down, and it's got a little piece of blue tape here, so I can just rip that blue tape up once it drips, once it gets full. It works out pretty well. So it's just got some common stuff, blue tape, stuff that I'm going to be reaching for quite a bit. And then obviously the center of my shop is my workbench, which you usually see me talking to you from when I'm doing the entrance to my videos, or during my formerly my shop talk, now my show and tell, which is just me talking about things that are going on in the shop and stuff like that. So and then I've got a little bit more storage up top, retractable retractable electrical cord or extension cord that sits right here, which is really nice to have that, because you can wheel it out and use it, and then it just retracts right back, and it's out of the way, quick and easy. No wrapping the cords up or anything like that. So, and all right, guys, that is it. That is my shop tour. Nothing extravagant, but this video should be much better than that first video I posted close to 6 months ago. So if you like it, give me a like and hit that subscribe button up in the upper corner there. And thanks for watching, and I hope to see you later. Take it easy.